I'm here to talk about defeatism because it's January 20th, 2026, which means we are exactly 1 year in. When I first agreed to do this, I was kind of excited to talk about defeatism. I had just made a video tackling this idea that was spreading that it was illegal to film ICE, and it isn't. And I thought it was important to talk about it because when we let them tell us that we don't have certain rights that we do, when we just roll over and accept their claims to power over us that they don't actually have, we're not just making things easier, we're doing the work for them. It's the ultimate form of obeying in advance. I was excited to come here and talk to you about all the ways in which they're trying to convince us into thinking something is pointless, that we can no longer exercise a certain right, or that we should just assume that exercising it won't work. And to point out that the whole reason they want us to think that way is precisely because it works. Maybe not every time, maybe not completely, but enough. Enough for it to be a problem for them. And then this past week and a half happened. Renee Good was murdered while exercising her constitutional rights. And she's not the first, not by a long shot. She probably won't be the last. And with everything following that event and the reactions and horrifying scenes we're seeing out of Minnesota right now, I had a moment where I thought, God, how do I talk about this now? What's even the point? And there it is, the defeatism. A bout of the defeaties. Not the first time for me, also not the last, and I know I'm not alone in that. If you're here right now, I know that you've had that moment 1,000,000 times over just this past year, and you're going to keep having it. I'm sorry. But also, if you're here right now, firstly, I can't thank you enough. Secondly, there is one thing I am certain that I now know about you. We may all come from different places at different times. We may not all be in perfect agreement on every single thing. We may hold different truths in our hearts. But we do all have at least one thing in common. We all woke up this morning and decided it was worth it to show up today. We woke up and decided we have not accepted defeat. We have not obeyed in advance. We will not accept our democracy nor our rights as being a lost cause. And here's what brings me back from it, that moment of what is the point every single time. Even if that were true, even if we had lost everything, would that be reason enough to stop fighting for it? Reason enough to stop believing in it? It is not naive to believe in and speak about a future still worth fighting for. This country's entire history was written by people who believed in a future that had never been a part of their past, in rights that they had never held. We stand on the shoulders of people who knew that just because someone wanted them to believe it would never happen, that didn't mean it wasn't worth trying and fighting and taking what would not readily be given. So when thinking about the murder of Renee Good and some of the things that differentiate it from so many others, of which there are, of course, several, at least one of them is the fact that so many people around her decided to exercise that right, the right to film ICE. One of the ones we haven't lost yet, but they surely wish we would. It seems small in the grand scheme of things, but in practice, it means the difference between another disappearance, another narrative they get to write, justifying the unjustifiable, and the truth. It means the difference between a certain portion of the population going to sleep at night in the comfort of trusting what they're told, and some of those same people finally starting to question if they can continue to stand behind the heinous acts and lies. That's the power of just one small right. But that's not the only thing they want us to give up. They want us to think protest is anti-American, that voting won't work, that boycotts and strikes won't hurt them, and that truth is theirs to write. They want us to believe all this precisely because our fight can work, has worked. They're hoping we forget history because it's the story of how much power we, the people, actually hold. Things are bad and scary, and they're getting worse. For many people in this country, that has been true for a very long time. But we are 1 year in, and it's not going as well for them as they would like. They still lose in the courts a majority of the time. They lost almost every single election this fall, including some historic flips. They've been forced to return Kilmar Abrego Garcia to his family and home here in the United States, even after sending him without due process to CICOT to be tortured. Protesters have successfully stopped an airline company from collaborating on deportations, and local officials across the country have been forced to block new prison camps, not just in blue states, but in very red ones. Towns in Texas, Missouri, Mississippi. ICE is growing demoralized, and more of the sycophants are stepping down. They want us to think it isn't working precisely because it is. And they're getting tired. He keeps talking about canceling the midterms because he's afraid of how it's going to go. And if nothing else, I love the idea of ruining his day. And the best part is that we know that even in unfree and unfair elections, if enough people show up, they can actually still make a difference and win. The bigger we are, the more undeniable we become. But it's not one protest, one election, one speech that fixes this. It's not a moment, but a movement, living and breathing, and it takes time and work and people. And it's people doing all sorts of things, whether it's canceling ICE's hotel rooms or sitting outside of them with a drum set all night, rapid response and mutual aid, whether it's taking unflattering photos of supremacists or ridiculing fascists online, spreading awareness, correcting misinformation, towing illegally parked cars being used in a raid, and dancing in frog costumes in front of cosplatriots. Mass mobilization, one-on-one conversation, resistance, defiance. And here's the thing. Even if we fail, we still won't give up. And when we win, we won't grow complacent. Because it's not whether or not we have a right that makes it worth fighting for. It's not over till it's over. But even then, it's still not over.